friends, so whether you've got a new baby at home, you have a high needs child, or maybe you just have a lot going on, there's a lot of chaos and a lot of feeling overwhelmed, this video is just for you today. Hey friends, I'm Heidi. I am a homeschooling mama to 4 kiddos ranging in age from 4 years old up to nearly 18 years old. And my husband and I are in ministry full time. We work from home, we run all of these different things from AP Home Ministries to everything we do here at Heavenly Minded Home. We also were small business owners for nearly a decade with our wedding coordinating and floral design business. And so I think juggling all of that at different times with newborn babies and homeschool and just chaos of life and business and ministry and all of these different areas, something that happens so often is just that feeling of being overwhelmed. It's just that chaos of not knowing what to get to and feeling like you're constantly letting someone or something down, and how do you juggle it all and how do you do it all, and trying to keep a little bit of sanity throughout the entire process. And I know that's something that so many struggle with. I know for us it was a big one every time we brought a new baby into the mix. It's such a hard time in that just transition period of trying to, heal your body, trying to welcome this new little thing that needs so much, and then keep up with the other children and still do all the marriage things that you and your spouse need, and then you're juggling housework and homeschool and so many different things. And I get that that's a lot. Maybe you have a high needs child. Maybe you have a child that is just needing extra attention right now. They're needing extra help and care, and it's so hard to find a balance of still keeping up with all the things that need to be done while dealing with that, but then there's more, and then you're off, and then what are you doing? Maybe it's just a time in life, I know for us, just the work of ministry, we get in these periods where we've kind of been lately, where it's so much. There's so much demand on you and your time, and yet you're still trying to ensure that you are nurturing your relationship with the Lord first and foremost. You are serving your first ministry, right? Your husband and your children in your home. You're serving that as your priority, but still balancing out all of the things. It can be really overwhelming and really burdensome. And I think quite often, we don't really want to come out and just say that and be like, hey, I am totally dropping the ball and struggling as a wife or a mother or a homekeeper or all of the above. And so then you end up feeling very alone and very alienated. And it really is just a vicious cycle that, again, if we're being honest, we've all been there, or maybe you're even currently there right now. Recently, talking with a certain friend kind of brought this up, but then I've had a few friends that have just recently had new babies and they're trying to work out this transition and figure out the pieces. Friends in ministry who, for some reason, it just is a really busy time for so many. And we all kind of are having these individual conversations about this very same topic. And so you know what? Let's go ahead and let's sit down and let's be raw and honest and talk about not only the struggle of transitioning, dealing with chaos and overwhelm, but also the tips and tricks and how does one work through this? How do we overcome this? How do we start to get this balance again and be able to give the time and attention that we need to in all the different areas and ways that need our time and attention? And so first and foremost, what really stood out to me is really thinking about the things that I've enacted in all of my times of kind of hitting this point where I can't do this, I'm losing my mind, I'm a new baby, business, work, ministry, homeschool, all of the stuff, a child that just needs some extra. What do I do? And even right now in ministry where we just have a lot of changes going on, a lot happening in our lives, and we're trying to seek the Lord in all of it and find the right balance and do all of that, what are some things that I go to really help the process so that we can find that balance? I can make sure that my priorities are in order, that I am seeking my relationship with the Lord first and foremost. I'm serving my first ministry here within my home as my priority. And I'm really just keeping a balance in all of the things, right? There's the responsibilities and the things that need to happen. There's the things that I need to be spending time on. And then, getting a little rest and a breather in between there is also just as important. So how do we find a balance to that? I would say first and foremost, we've got to stop and clear out the excess. If there's any point of your life where you are just feeling chaos and overwhelm and you don't know what to do, right? You've got maybe baby, you've got maybe homeschool, you've got maybe a child that needs special needs, somebody's sick, you've got something on your plate, there's a lot going on. You've got to stop first and foremost, and you've got to clear out the excess. There is nothing in your life that simplifying cannot help. I really, truly believe that because I've seen it, right? It works. So what is pulling you out of the home? What's just making you crazy? What is it that just is on your plate that you just, oh my gosh, I can't do this, right? I think very often we like to jump to, oh, well, it's just the new baby. Well, I doubt that. I doubt it's just the new baby. Or you say, oh, it's just, this with this person or this with that person. A lot of times things that we think are the issue aren't necessarily the issue. So I would say stop and realize the times that you are being pulled out of your home. You are being, pulled away from what you truly deep down know is the most important. If the biggest issue, the loudest thing you hear is a child who is just in need of extra attention, your home that is just constantly out of order, your spouse and your marriage and whatever it is that you're dealing with that just is causing you to be so overwhelmed, it's usually not them that are the problem. It's usually not the house necessarily that's the problem, or the baby or the child that's the problem, or your husband that's the problem. It's whatever it is that keeps pulling you away from prioritizing that and dealing with it. If you're overwhelmed because your house is just chaos, what keeps taking you away from doing that, right? What is it that you're, keep getting pulled away in, oh, I'd love to work on that, but we've got this event and this thing, and the kids are signed up for all these classes, and I'm volunteering all these things for church, and yada, yada, yada. They might be great, wonderful things, but if they keep pulling you away from the thing that you need to be focusing on, that's the issue. Maybe it is that right now your child is just at this age where they need a lot of attention, right? Be it their special needs, they're just a tiny baby, or it's a child who's just going through a rough patch and needing that extra time from you. Then what are the things that keep pulling you away from that? Is it that you are trying to spend a lot of time super organizing your pantry, or you really want to go and be doing these activities, or you think that this over here is an important thing to do? Maybe you need to put all those things away, let your pantry just be whatever your pantry is, and not be going to all of those things and trying to fulfill all of those volunteer opportunities and whatever. And maybe you just need to be spending that time with that child. Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe your spouse is having a really rough time. Maybe work's crazy. Maybe he has a lot on his plate, whatever it may be. And maybe what you need to do is remove all the things off of your plate so that you can just be home. You can be creating that sanctuary for him to come into. He can know that you've got these things handled, so that way you're not being pulled in a bunch of different directions, and instead can be there to serve him. Whatever it is, you've got to look at the different areas of your life, be honest with yourself, and realize, what are the commitments that you're giving into all of the time? Is it just there's so much stuff that you can't even breathe in your own home? Then you need to start getting serious. Maybe you need to go around this weekend, bag up a bunch of stuff, and just let it go. Get it out of your house. Donate it to a thrift store, a women's shelter, whatever it is. Just get it out and be done with it. Don't fuss and worry about going through everything. Sometimes you gotta just step up and make those radical decisions to get the excess out, so that way you can simplify and you can truly focus on whatever it is that really needs your focus. You really gotta stop and weigh that. Once you have simplified in the way of clearing out that excess, right? You're cutting out commitments, you're cutting out stuff, you're walking away from as much as you possibly can. You're saying no to the things that keep pulling you in different directions and just making you feel crazy. Again, they could be great, wonderful things, but if having to stop by this person's house and go to this event and take the kids to this and volunteer for that and be available if all of those things are making you nuts, then you might need to let them go for a season. So once you've kind of cleared out that excess, you really need to focus on simplifying. okay? You've simplified in the way of clearing out the excess, but now you need to simplify what it is that's left. We all have responsibilities, right? Kids gotta be fed, laundry has to be done, a house has to be maintained, right? Things have to happen. You still have that. That's not going to go away, but maybe you need to simplify what that is or how that's getting done. I think very often we find ourselves in these areas of transition where we're having to find a new balance, but yet we're thinking that we can still do the same things that we were doing before the new stuff came onto our plate. I see this so often with moms with new babies. You're still trying to take the older kids to all the things they were used to going to. You're still trying to keep up on the home the way that you were keeping up on the home. You're still trying to do all of the things that you were doing, but now you have this tiny little human with a whole new routine, a whole new set of needs, a whole new everything, plus the changes within your own body, right? You are not the same as you were pre-having baby. And so you're trying to keep up with all of the things, and it's honestly just making you crazy, and you feel burdened and awful all of the time because you just can't seem to do the things like you had been used to doing the things. And so you really have to stop and look at this and say, what truly needs to be done? Where all do you actually need to go? Be a little ruthless in this and say, okay, maybe I don't need to do all of this. Maybe I don't need to go to all of this. Maybe I can simplify this. I can be more efficient and effective in the things that do need to be done. Because yes, there is still this list over here of things that have to happen, right? Children need to be disciplined, groceries need to be bought, stuff needs to be put away, stuff needs to be taken care of, homeschool still needs to happen, right? You have these things that still have to happen, but maybe you can simplify how it is that you're doing them, right? I think often I see a lot of parents struggling because they're trying to do all of the things on their own, and they're not utilizing the training up of the children portion. Maybe you don't need to be the only person in your house that knows how to make a lunch. So if lunchtime is stressful and you're like, I just can't juggle all of the things, why can't your children make their own lunch? Maybe you have really young kids and they truly cannot make their own lunch. Maybe you can make it the night before when you have some free time, right? When everybody goes to bed and you have a little bit of time, you can kind of prep for the next day. I know for us, we always were a small business, and so our kids became very independent very young because we just all needed to be all hands on deck if we were going to survive. And all of our kids have learned the basics in the kitchen from the time they're 4 and 5 years old. My kids are pretty self-sufficient to feed themselves. Now that doesn't mean that we don't still cook together and come and sit down and gather together, but it means in the busy part of the day when we're working, all of my kids have the absolute ability to go in and feed themselves. So I don't have to be stressed and worried about it because we can all work together. It isn't all on me. I can simplify and set things up so that way we can all pitch in. We can all work together and things can run a lot smoother, and it's not all based upon my ability to do such. I see this time and time again, especially when we're dealing with sickness, we're dealing with pregnancy, we're dealing with new babies, or honestly just something that's happened and gone on, and you go, hey, you're probably feeling overwhelmed because you're taking everything upon yourself. Now, yes, women, it is absolutely our duty to keep our home and train up our children and do all of that, but that doesn't mean that you have to just do absolutely everything by yourself. From the time our children are, 4 and 5 years old, they absolutely can be responsible and chipping in at their level to the betterment of the home and the family. They can be feeding themselves. We can set up simple things and prep sandwiches. I love getting bento boxes, and just once a week I prep a whole week's worth of lunches, throw them in the fridge, and everybody's good to go. There's so many simple ways that we can have things put together so that they really can be chipping in. We can sit down and we can simplify what is it that I truly need to do. What are the tasks that I absolutely positively need to do? What are the things that maybe the kids can step in with? Or what are the things that are a little unreasonable that it's really not that big of a deal if I still do that like maybe I used to? Maybe you are one of those people who are really detailed, you do all the things and everything's always perfect and all of that. And now you're in this period where you're like, oh my gosh, I am really struggling to keep up with this high set of standards I had given myself. maybe you need to realize it's gonna be okay. I can let that go right now. It's all gonna be just fine. If that doesn't all get done as timely as it used to be, the world's gonna keep on spinning. Look at the things that you have left that do have to be done and simplify them. Make them the most efficient things you can possibly have, so that way you're not having to be pulled and stretched so thin and in so many directions. Kind of in that, the third point that is so huge that all of us need to have is you need a system, okay? Being a mom, being a wife, being a keeper at home, being whatever it is that you have on your plate, in whatever way that you serve the Lord through your life, you need a system. Now this can be simple. I'm not saying you've got to buy all the stuff and do all of the things. It can be a very simple, straightforward system. I personally use my planner that I make, but if you just have a notepad of paper or use your phone, set reminders right in here so that way you just have them pop up and they automatically tell you what's up. You need a system. You need to start with a morning routine and an evening routine. So we've cleared out the excess, be it stuff or commitments that we don't need in our life. We're kind of simplifying the things that do have to get done, right? Bare bones, what has to happen. I have to keep up on laundry. I have to have clean dishes. I have to feed my children. I have to, whatever it is. Set up a system. Give yourself a morning routine and an evening routine. Now for me, these are the things I do first thing in the morning before we get started or go to appointments or do anything. And then an evening routine. I do that in my last little bit before I go to bed. And I stop and I look at this and I say, okay, if I can only get my morning routine and my evening routine done, that's good enough. That keeps us level. So the things I have in my morning routine and my evening routine are the things that at least keep us level, okay? Things might not be getting better or cleaner or more organized or accomplished, but at least we're level. At least we're not sinking a little bit more each and every day. So like for me, really it starts with my evening routine. Every evening I get a shower. Even when I had a brand new baby and was nursing around the clock and all of the stuff, I would take the time in the evening to go get a shower. Even if that means that baby has to sit in a bouncer and cry for 10 minutes, the world will keep on spinning. It's gonna be okay, right? They're just exercising their lungs, right? If you're in a period where baby literally, I've had those children where daddy couldn't help, nobody else could help. If I wasn't there, she was gonna be losing her mind. That's okay. 10 minutes, I'm getting a shower, right? I need that time to feel a little more human. I am getting my shower. I listen to my Bible while I'm in the shower, so that way, I kind of get a little bit of that time. But set up a system. I do that in the evening. Every evening, our dishwasher gets loaded. Every evening. I go to bed with an empty sink. There is something so magical and wonderful about that. But I never, ever, 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 ever miss loading the dishwasher at night. Every night, whatever laundry has been thrown into the washer throughout the day, it gets scheduled to run overnight. I do the delay in thing and calculate it and let it run at some point throughout the night, so that way in the morning we have a fresh load of laundry. Being able to do one load a day, again, just helps in keeping us in this level playing field. For us, every evening, our robotic vacuum runs. Think about it. Your surfaces, your horizontal surfaces, that is what is going to make the biggest impact in your house. So clearing off a counter and cleaning your floors is going to make the biggest impact in your house feeling somewhat put together. So having the robotic vacuum was the best $100 and something we ever spent, because every night I just click a button as I'm literally, it's charging in this room, which I walk through to go to bed at night. And as I'm on my way to bed, I just push the button, let it run. So at least when I wake up in the morning, I've had a shower, right, at night, so I at least, went to bed nice and clean. I've got clean dishes that have ran. I have a clean load of laundry that's ran, and my floors have been vacuumed. Simple little things that take literally next to nothing out of my time, right? Our kids know that if you don't want the vacuum to get it, pick it up, right? So they know before they go to bed, they've picked up the floors, that way I'm just pushing the button. Whatever you have to do to set up very simple routines, so that way in the morning and going to bed, right? That's just what you do. You get in that habit of doing that, so at least you can keep some sort of level in your life. In the morning when I wake up, I get dressed and ready the moment I wake up. Even when I had a small baby, I would nurse her in bed in the morning. Then once she was good and happy, she could have some kind of snuggle time with daddy or sit in her bassinet or whatever it was. I would step into the restroom and just get ready for the day. Just do it right then and there. I feel a little more energized and put together, at least feeling a little bit more like myself, even on days when I'm not feeling well or I'm struggling. I have migraine issues and different things. Having that, at least I've pulled myself together. It really does help. Then I'm able to walk out. One child puts dishes away. One child puts the laundry into the dryer. I go through and just make sure, everything is gotten back to ready as we go throughout our day. But having this very simple routine in the morning and in the evening to keep at least those bare bone things done, even if we are all sick or ministry work is just super heavy, or even when I had tiny babies, there were the core items in the morning and the core items in the evening that happened every day without fail. And getting that at least bit of level and control and system in your house really is so beneficial. So even if nothing else goes right in the day, I've at least gotten a shower and gotten dressed. The floors at least have been vacuumed. Laundry's at least been ran. Dishes at least are clean. Some of those core items at least have been checked off the list. So I highly recommend that even if it's very small, even if it's only 1 or 2 things in the morning and evening that you set as your hey, this is the biggest deal. These are the things that I need to have happen. If you have children that are anywhere around 5 years old and up, you can give them a thing that they have to do, right? Because literally down to our 4-year-old, they all have at least specific thing they have to do. Girls feed the dogs and the chickens, right? The younger one puts away her own laundry even and helps folding the towels. Everybody has their thing that they can do to pitch in. So I'm telling you, your kids can absolutely help with this. But even if you don't have kids, maybe it's just you and baby or whatever it might be, having at least a thing or two that you can start getting in the habit of every morning and every evening, I'm at least checking off that box. Even if your whole day goes wonky, at least you start and end with a little bit of accomplishment and routine in your system. And then as you get a little bit better each day, one step further, you can start adding to that until you get to the place that you need to start making all the things happen that you really need to have happening. Once you start to feel a little more secure that you've got a morning routine and evening routine, you're kind of pulling yourself out of this just chaos and mess, at least even a little bit, stop and look at what you need to do in, the main part of your day to maybe start tackling some of the other areas. It's one thing to stay level. It's another thing to actually be progressing, right, and improving here. So I think of, just the work of a home and the day-to-day life. Look at different areas and what you have going on. Maybe for you, it's just you need a system throughout your whole day. And so maybe saying, okay, every afternoon I'm gonna have a timer that goes off and I'm gonna spend 30 minutes and I'm just gonna start on a list, right? And check off whatever I can. And tomorrow, right, once that 30-minute timer goes off, I'm done for the day, that's okay. Tomorrow the alarm will go off, I'll set a 30-minute timer and check off whatever I can. Maybe you need to assign yourself, Monday I work on the living room, Tuesday I work on the kitchen, Wednesday I work on the dining room, right? Maybe you need to assign yourself something like that. Honestly, just set up in your Google Calendar or whatever you use, this is the day, right? Have an alarm that goes off each day at whatever time works best for you, or just know, hey, as soon as I put the baby down for a nap, I'm 30 minutes, right? I'm gonna tackle whatever it is. Maybe you need to be minimizing stuff. Maybe you need to be purging. Maybe you need to be cleaning. Maybe you need to be doing a combination thereof, right? But set a time for yourself. Maybe you have a lot going on and trying to fit stuff in every day is really chaotic. Maybe for you, it works out better to just take one day per week where you can have no appointments, no outside commitments, nothing you have to go do, nothing crazy, and you just deem that day, I showed you guys mine, cleaning day, right? This is just the day that I tackle all the things at home because I am pulled all over the place. We do have a lot going on. Maybe you do have kids and there's one day that either, it's a great weather day and they can be outside playing, or it's a day that a family member can come over, or they could go play at the grandparents or whatever it might be. And you just say, hey, it's this day. Maybe your kids don't go anywhere, but you say, hey kids, today's the day and we're all gonna do this together. That's what I do with mine. I do all of my work with all of my kids with me at all times. So it absolutely can be done. But maybe you need to take and just have a special day set that you tackle everything in one big chunk and then move on. You have to look and see what works best for you. Because like I said, maybe it's each day you need to set a timer and work in smaller chunks just consistently. Maybe it's kind of hard to find a chunk in every single day, and so it's easier just to block out one day, and that's the day you just slam through everything. You've got to decide what works best for your family. Maybe you need to try a couple different methods and see what you can figure out. But when you do this and you start being able to really tackle more of the meat of what you need to be tackling in whatever aspect it is, you're gonna start feeling a lot better. So get a system and a routine. You need a morning routine and an evening routine. Start working on that. When you start to feel a little more like, okay, I'm getting this done, in some point in the bulk of your day, somewhere in the afternoon, then you can start saying, okay, let's go ahead and try to take on a little bit more. So yeah, I was staying level, the boat's not sinking, but it's also not flourishing. So maybe we need to, start adding on some of that. Another point that I think is so huge, right? If you're simplifying, you're looking at what actually has to be done, you're giving yourself a little bit of system in the morning and the evening. But remember that you need to, setting the tone of your home, remember that chaos breeds chaos. But in the same way that chaos breeds chaos, I'm also going to say that calm breeds calm. When you start to get some calm and order to your home, you're tidying up, you are getting a little bit more of a system and a routine in place. You're finding some of that balance again. It may not look like it did before, but at least you're getting some new balance. You've got some routine. Things are getting a little bit tidier. Things are getting calmer. You can be getting calmer. Stop and think of the ways that you can create in your home what you want to see grow and expand. If you are always uptight and stressed out and filled with anxiety and all of the things, you're just going to continue to breed that into your home. And so it really does take a lot of self-control to say, hey, I've got to work on me. I've got to find some balance. I've got to simplify. I've got to realize what's going on and set up some routines for us here. But then I need to calm down. And when I have this calm and this peace, it really does rub off on others. It will rub off on your spouse. It will rub off on your children. Set the tone for your home. Having a tidy home means a lot. Because guess what? When everything's a mess, it's really easy for everybody to just keep adding to the mess. If you kind of keep things tidy and simplified and there's not a lot of stuff, you're gonna notice a difference in that. Maybe you need to have some soft music that plays to really, audibly set the tone of your home. That's why I make the Hymns of the Homemaker. You guys can check out that playlist because I love it. I put it on the TV so that way nobody's turning on cartoons or nonsense or anything else. And it's just soft music with calming images that just kind of sets that tone. It almost feels like a waiting room, almost, where you go and you sit there and you're in a lobby of somewhere, and you think of these lobbies of these hotels, these fancy hotels, and everything's tidy, it's orderly, there's not a ton of stuff, there's always soft music or some water fountain or something, and you can just kind of enjoy waiting there for a while. That's what I want my home to feel like. I want my home to feel like things are tidy and in order, and there's just soft music. Another big one is maybe you need to light a candle. I don't know, there's something about having a clean countertop, such a miracle when I can get it to happen, and then just a yummy smelling candle that I can light. There's something about that that's usually reserved for when family's coming over or a special event. Why not every day, right? Why not set this tone and have this calm and peace every day in your home? Little things like that. Find the things that matter to you. Find the things that you find calming and peaceful for yourself and start implementing them into your home, implementing them throughout your day, so that way you can really help to have this peace and calm to it that you can then in turn share and give to all those that are in your home. It makes a difference, I promise. And last but certainly not least, give grace. Give grace to yourself, give grace to those around you, have grace in all of this. Instead of beating yourself up because you're not getting to the things that you think you should be, or you're not accomplishing all the things you still think you should be accomplishing, or the kids, you know, they miss getting to go and do these things, but right now, just with what you have on your plates, you can't go do these things. Give grace. You've got to set limits and understand what you can do. Maybe you can't do all of that. Maybe you can't go attend all the things and take the kids to all the places and go to all the classes and join in all the co-ops and volunteer for all of the things and all of the stuff. Maybe you can't keep your house perfect at all times. Maybe you can't be cooking gourmet meals every day and the kids are living off of pre-made PBs and J's. Like, whatever it is, give yourself grace. Understand your limits, and it's okay. Don't be lazy. I think that's one hand. You always want to make sure, right? I say that because we always have to hold that mirror up. Am I overwhelmed and stressed out because I'm simply just not doing the work that needs to be done, right? I know I'm guilty of that sometimes, where I get so focused on things that don't matter that I'm not doing the things that do matter, and then I get really overwhelmed that they're not done, when really the truth was I needed to stop fooling around and take care of my responsibilities. And if I would have just done it, I wouldn't have created this emergency situation now where everything's wonky, and I should have just done it in the first place. So make sure that's not the case for you. But truly, especially, I'm thinking just chaos of life, a struggling spouse, a new baby, a child that just needs extra time and attention. Realize what your limits are and what you can really do. And then have grace with yourself and with others as you work through that process and find some new balance in your life. We have to understand our limits, and we have to understand that the thinner we stretch ourselves, the more difficult it's going to be. We also know who our enemy is. Our enemy is Satan, and Satan is absolutely prowling, looking for an opportunity to pounce on us in any way that he can. Look at when Jesus was tempted in the wilderness. It was when he was hungry, when he was stretched thin, when he was pushed down, right? That is when Satan wants to come at you, when we're weak. And so if you think of you're just stretched too thin, you're not sleeping well, you're overwhelmed, you're frustrated, all of this, those are perfect opportunities for Satan to come in and really start pushing your buttons, right? Poking at maybe you're inadequate, maybe you're right? All of these awful things that we think, these worries that we have, the stress that we have, when we clear these things out and we realize what truly we need to do, what is important. Am I prioritizing my time in God's Word? Am I prioritizing my marriage? Am I prioritizing my children and disciplining them and training them up in the ways of the Lord and loving them and correcting them and being there for them? Am I making sure that my first ministry, my home, is truly my priority and what I'm focusing on each and every day? Or am I setting priorities out over here and all of this other stuff that I really don't need to be focusing on? So stop and really weigh those things. Simplify all that you can. Create these simple systems to help you keep the things in order. Do the things you need to do. Have grace with yourself as you go through it. And really just start to bring back this peace and this calm in your home. I hope this helps you guys. I know it is hard because it is such a big topic. It's not a one size fits all, but I still think a lot of these are really universal truths that if you do start implementing these things, you are going to see success. You will see progress, and bit by bit, you'll be strengthened and you will start to find this new balance in your life and whatever it is that you're dealing with. We don't want to look at the things that cause the imbalance as the things that are the problem. Many times it is a blessing. It is something in our life that we should be celebrating and enjoying and really embracing. But it can be a little overwhelming, and that can kind of cause us to not quite see it that way. So whatever it is, be it a relationship that needs work, a sickness that's got you down, a child who needs some extra care and attention, allowing yourself to not be just upset by that, but say, hey, this is what the Lord's placed in my life right now, and that's okay. We can work, we can find a new balance, and we can get through this and grow stronger with the help of the Lord in whatever the circumstance might be. So I pray this serves you guys. We have our super exciting podcast this week, and you guys have to come and join us for this. I'll post all about it on the community tab. We're going to be doing Q&As of hot topics. And hey, if you have more for this topic, you can absolutely bring them. Leave comments down below, and we will see you guys later. Bye, y'all.